So, let's talk about having the courage to leave the narcissist and what that takes and what it means. The narcissist is someone who, for the most part, seemingly changes your reality, your viewpoint, and your perception of your world around you, and especially your perception of yourself, your perceptions of what you can do and what you can't do, what you'll get by with, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. They change who you are completely, or it seems like they do. They don't really change who you are. No one can do that, but it looks that way because they have you second guessing yourself with every single thing you do, and second guessing your memory and your capabilities and your character and the content of your character and things like that. They're very good at what they do. They have a very serious mental illness that has not gotten treated, and the rest of us kind of pay the price for that, unfortunately, but you can get out of it. What I want you to think about is, if you're considering leaving this person or getting this person out of your life, one of the things you need to ask yourself is, how much longer am I going to be able to stand this? How much longer am I going to take this? What is it really doing for me to hang on to this person? And what has changed about me since I've known this person or gotten close to them, for example. Those are some questions that, can really prompt the courage it might take to get out of there. The last, really big narcissist I had, it took a lot to, it seems like it took a lot, but then, looking back after it was all over with, it was perfectly fine, getting him out. But what happened was, I had gotten a job at a funeral home, and I saw that that was something I wanted, and I met nice people there, and had a little paycheck coming in. I was doing my jewelry on the side as well, but I wanted the funeral home job. It was a good job. I met some good people. Met good people I'm still in touch with now. Very genuine, sincere friends, and it was just it was a step up for me. And once I saw that I had the step up that I really needed, which was socializing with good people and a steady paycheck, the jewelry was good, but I needed a little bit more at that time. So because I had just started this, so it's it hadn't really taken off yet, if you will. So when I realized that I was okay at the funeral home job and everything else, I had everything else I needed. I had good health. I had my son. I had my family. I had my little money. I had a vehicle. I had everything I needed. And I thought, well, hey, he's making me so miserable. Why do I need him? I don't know why I need this guy when I've got everything I want. His companionship is utter shite. I don't need that. This is bullshit. I've had it. And I just decided in that moment that I was done being miserable. I was just done. I wasn't wishy-washy about it anymore. I used to be. There was a handful of times when he, when I tried to break up with him, and he wouldn't let me. That's my old story. I don't say it that way anymore, but that's how I used to say that story. That's how I used to tell it, because that was the story I told myself, is he wouldn't let me. Really, I just didn't have the courage to tell him to get the fuck out. But my old story was he wouldn't let me break up with him, which kind of was the case, but also I was too afraid to put my fucking foot down, because there was a part of me that I had not come to terms with yet, made my peace with yet, that believed that I would never get anything better than him. And that fear of never having anything better than him is what stopped me from just telling him to go to hell. So, and that fear will be there, especially for women. Women are taught, that they can only go so far, and damn it, you better take what you can get, and God damn it, be grateful, and that kind of thing is not helpful for our daughters. And that's one of the many reasons they settle for bullshit ass men, is because they think, well, hell, I'll never get any better than this. I better just take it. I just got to take it with the pros and the cons, just got to take it with the bullshit, because this is going to be the best I ever get my hands on, and that is horseshit, and that mindset needs to be shot and buried and rotted in the earth. So, because I lived on that for a long, long time. Oh, well, I know I'm not going to get any better than him. I gotta cool my jets. I gotta hold my horses here. I gotta get it together, and that's bullshit. Because women are taught that being alone is worse than not having a man, and that's not true. It's the other way around. But because we have so much more peace. For the most part, most of us really don't want to be bothered. And that's why when other things in her life start going better, like money or a living situation or getting more friends or anything starts getting better, there's a good ass chance she'll cut out the boyfriend entirely, because he wasn't a necessity. I don't know how to say it without, sound like an asshole, but, maybe there's women who didn't have any options who are probably going to argue with me, and that's fine, but I didn't, once other things like started getting better in my life, every time that's happened, I've dropped the boyfriend, every time. And it's just what I did. So at that time, like I say, once I got that funeral home job, and I was like, well, shit, if I've got money and I have a car to take myself places, and I have all the stuff I need, I don't need somebody to buy me stuff. I had all that. I had friends. I had connections at the funeral home, that people that were connected with all kinds of stuff, politics and everything. So I had all of that. I thought, well, shit, I don't need his motherfucking ass. Because with the way that he had my mind twisted, thinking I was a bad person and I really needed to work on myself and all this other shit. Now, all the while, he was at that time living with me in my bedroom at my family home, because he was doing all that, but at the same time had my motherfucking ass convinced that he was getting a divorce that Friday. It was always Friday. It was always, well, I'm going to talk to a lawyer on Friday. I'm going to talk to a lawyer on Friday. It was always fucking Friday. Okay, where is this goddamn lawyer? Who is this guy? Who is this? And there was no fucking lawyer, and there was no goddamn divorce. So he was living in my bedroom out of a duffel bag. And I let it happen. I fucking let it happen. I let it happen because I hated myself, and I thought I was never going to get any better. So, I got tired of that. I got to the point where I said, you know what? I just don't need this. And I started trusting myself, because I had put, women have been taught for so long to put their trust in men and rely on them, rely on their intuition as opposed to our own, and listen and trust their words instead of our own, because they're supposed to be so much smarter than us. And that has led to sabotage, because you're listening to somebody who's lying to you all the time. And you're listening to somebody who's there to benefit from your presence, not to see you succeed or whatever, or do better than you were. Because as soon as you start succeeding, making your own money, doing your own thing, become more independent, and whatever way that means, they start losing interest anyway, because they can't, there's no if you're independent, you can't be controlled, and all of a sudden you're not interesting. So they have to keep you. They have to keep you in a certain little way, and the only way to do that is to make sure that you listen to what they're saying, as opposed to listen to what your heart is saying. I don't know the times that me and this guy argued about something I said or did, or didn't say or did. I can't tell you the times that he would tell me, well, remember when you said blah blah blah, you said I could blah blah blah, you said you trusted me and I deserved it, and I would sit there and think, when did I say this? God almighty. Fuck me. I don't know when I said... Did I say... That doesn't even sound like me. That's not even how I would word that. His motherfucking ass wasn't as educated as mine. And he didn't know words that I know. Vocabulary words. I went to Catholic school and I was a Latin scholar, so there's words I use that most dumbass motherfuckers like him wouldn't be able to keep up with or spell. And that's just a fact of life. It's something I'm not going to apologize for that. And I didn't pick Catholic school, so I'm not going to apologize for that either. Latin class I chose, Catholic school I did not. But he would say stuff to quote me back at me. And I would think, that's not even how I would have said that. That's not how I would have said that at all. I never said that. But I would think that and think, oh, fuck, you know, when was this conversation? I don't know, man. I just know we fucking have. Okay, so you don't know. Okay. Because I've had bosses do that to me. I've had managers do that to me. Oh, I don't know when this happened. I just know that you fucked up. So, okay, but were there any witnesses or what? You know, it's always, you never can get a clear answer about anything because they're fucking lying. And, it's just the way of the world, you know, but, I remember that day that I sat on my bed. It was in, I think January. It was right before Valentine's Day. I remember looking out the window. I had the blinds open. And I was looking out the window at the cars passing by in the neighborhood and everything, and the, dead trees outside or whatever. And I was on the phone with him, and he was absolutely frantic. And I said, look, and I was honest with this guy. I was always honest with him. Unfortunately, I should have lied my goddamn ass off because he did, but I didn't think of that. But anyway, I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, this bed, and looking out that window over my vanity and looking outside at that road and the shrubbery in the neighbor's yard. And I was real with him, and I said, look, I can't handle you. And that was the truth. I'm not going to lie and sit here and say I was some, powerful dark goddess that had everything under control. I didn't. I didn't have shit under control, except what I was doing in that moment, and then finally I did. I didn't have anything under control until I just took control. I didn't have anything under control until I just took control. Remember that. So, I sat there on the bed and I was on the phone with him, and this was like a 2-hour conversation. All my breakups when I started breaking up when they broke up with me, it was real quick, okay, I'm gonna get the fuck out, fuck you, Miranda, you're fucking worthless, you've been worthless all this time, bitch, bye, go die, go lay down and die somewhere. But, because all I did was whatever I was told, and also made sure I looked fucking perfect all the time. Today, maybe not so much because I'm not wearing makeup, but I don't really give a shit. I'm 35, I don't care anymore. But at that time, when I was younger and I was so desperate for their attention, because I thought that was what I needed, because that was what I was taught, I made sure I looked perfect all the time. I looked perfect all the time, and I did, because I was raised well, I did whatever I was told. Because in the household I grew up in, when the man came home, God damn it, you better do what he says. Better do what he says. Because if you don't, you get your fucking ass whooped. And growing up in domestic violence, yeah, That's, that's what happens. And there is no, when you're a 6-year-old girl and somebody who's, 6 foot, 6'1", 230 pounds comes home yelling, and that's all you know for a long time, that there's a thing that happens in you that teaches you that you need to do whatever it takes to get their approval so that they don't turn on you. And that programs you like a motherfucker. And you don't realize it until like years after the fact when they've all stepped on you and shit. And you're like, oh, that's why I'm so fucked up. Because my father was mean. I forgive him these things, but more importantly, I forgive myself for thinking that was what I had to settle for, because that's what happens. So, in the beginning, when I was dating for like all through my 20s, I was always so eternally grateful for anyone who would just even look at me. And I had the dregs of society coming after me, and men my father's age. And I was like 19 years old, 18, 17. And it was just men with gray hair and the absolute bottom feeders who were falling all over themselves trying to get to me. And because my self-esteem was utter shite. And I guess if it had been good at that time, I wouldn't have had any goddamn body. Hell, I don't know. Shit, it beats me, but because the better I start feeling about myself, the less they want to fuck with me. And that's okay, because I really don't want to be bothered anymore, but I just want peace. I just want peace. So, in the beginning, when they would be so quick to run in and run out of my life and leave me confused, those breakups were, snappy, quick. It was boom, and done. No answering the phone, no talking, nothing, no contact, nothing. I don't know how many times that happened. Well, as I got older, by around the time I turned 30, something happened. And, well, maybe a little bit before I turned 30, but especially around the time I turned 30, something happened. And I started doing the breaking up. And that was when it got bad. I am no longer in my Russian swimsuit model days. So I feel like I can say what I want now. And I don't care if anyone believes me or not. I don't care. But I still looked good at the time too, but I mean, I would get tired of shit. I would just get tired of it and realize, when something else got better in my life, like, cause I'd be feeling real rock bottom when the boyfriends would come along. I'd be feeling real bad about myself and real bad about my situation. And, especially after Dad died and our income just went, and I didn't have any training. I didn't have any kind of education to back me up with anything. I didn't have any experience with anything because I didn't have any fucking direction. No one thought enough of me to direct me with anything or help me bring out my skills or my talents of any kind. And I really floated around. So I just had zero self-esteem and zero skills. And I floated around from bullshit job to bullshit job for a very long time. And it was exhausting, and it was like mental torture because like I couldn't amount to anything. Or so I thought. Since having a son, I think differently now, but at that time that was all there was bullshit jobs and no money, and it was just really bad. And that was when the men were really, really coming at me, when I was feeling at my lowest. And but something happened, and I wasn't, the feeling at my lowest was less and less frequent. And it got to where they'd still come to me, and they would still hop in my lap, but they'd stick around as long as I would play along, I suppose. But as I got older, they'd want to stick around longer, but I would get tired of it, and I would say, okay, you know, I don't like this anymore. I don't understand what this is doing for me. I don't understand what this is doing for me. And I would get rid of them and tell them I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to play anymore. And that would go sour every single time. It would go really, really badly. Well, with this narcissist guy, I was on the phone with him for like 2 hours. And that was a very draining, emotionally draining phone call. That was extremely, it wasn't stressful, but just draining. It wasn't stressful because I was finally prepared at that point, because I had been thinking about all the things he had done and how miserable I was and how I wasn't really getting anything out of his presence or his being in my life. I just wasn't getting anything out of it. You know, us going out to get Chinese every now and then didn't make up for him standing in my bedroom clenching his fists and crying, because there was a time, well, this happened more than once, but the one time in particular that I remember, that I can tell you the story about, that I still remember, is we went to a shop that some of my friends worked at, and one of them owned, and we used to all kind of meet there. It was a metaphysical shop. And it's called Spiritual Relics as if, in Virginia Beach, and it's owned by a woman called Dawn Link. Do not get close to her, because she will take your fucking money. I'll get to that some other time. I think I've already done that. No, if you go to my video about consignment with my jewelry, consignment, it's way back. It's a couple of years old, but go look for it, consignment. And I explained everything that happened with her and a couple other people like her. But anyway, don't get close to that woman. And do not sign anything with her or think you're going to do money shit with her, because you're not going to. Not the way you think. So anyway, went to this shop, me and him, to meet some friends that I had since before I met him. According to him, he didn't have any fucking friends until he met me and like got in with my crowd. And he always was good about crediting me with that. Well, we got in there and I saw my friends, and I let go of his hand to hug my friends. And I heard about that later. And we were in my bedroom at like, 11 o'clock at night, and he was crying and clenching his fists, telling me that how dare I let go of his hand to greet my friends. And I to this day, about at least half the arguments we had, I couldn't tell you what they were about. I have no idea. No idea. I just know he got upset a lot. And so that day, I sat down and just had a chat with myself, and I said, I don't know what I want from this life. I haven't figured that out yet. I didn't have the direction. I didn't have the full confidence that I should have had. But I had just enough. I had just enough courage to tell him I was done for the last time. And this time he wasn't gonna not let me break up. Because they like to say things to twist and manipulate so that they can hold on to you, because they benefit so goddamn much from having you around. They benefit so much from this. They have somebody, especially if y'all living together, they've got somebody cleaning up after them, they've got somebody playing secretary, they've got somebody keeping up appearances with all the friends, they've got somebody feeding them, they've got their live-in whore they can have whenever they want, and you got to do it because you have to keep the peace. You have to, because especially after an argument, or to prevent an argument, or to deflect, you have to, because otherwise they start yelling. So there's a lot that they benefit from having you around, and you don't get those benefits, and you still have to ask for help, and you still have to ask for a little bit of money, and you still have to ask for this and that, and it's like, what's the point? So I told him that I was fucking done with him. And when I say he blew up, I mean, it was bad. And so he had to come back and get all his shit. And then he told me I could have the bed. There was a bed that he had bought, a brand new one, and I didn't care about it. I was like, take this shit. And he was like, no, you should have this, you should have this. I thought, I don't want this shit. But he didn't want to take it, and I was like, okay. Well, I turned around and he let me know, in front of me and my mother, that the bed was mine. And I said, all right, whatever. And after he left and had all his shit out of there, I thought, well, hell, I'm not keeping this damn bed. I had my own bed. And, which is this one. When I said I was sit on the edge of the bed earlier, I meant it was the one that he had bought. It wasn't this one, sorry. Because I didn't have this back in my room yet until after he left. But he insisted that I keep the bed, and I said, all right. Well, I turned around and posted it for sale online. Well, he got in touch with me about 30 seconds after that and cussed me out and said that he was coming back for his fucking bed, and I better not fucking sell it, and if I did, I was going to be in a world of hurt, blah, blah, blah. I said, you said it was mine. You better come get it, because if somebody comes up here with $1,200 fucking dollars, it's gone. You better hurry. While supplies last. Like, so you're never right with them. You can't win no matter what you do, because anything they say, it change later. Oh, I didn't really mean that. Oh, I didn't mean that. That's not what it is. Okay. So, and this is after poor dad had died and everything, so there was no one to stand up for me or step in and just knock his goddamn head off his fucking shoulders. And my uncle lived with us for part of the. Well, no, that was during the time that he lived with us at that time. Well, he would hear us yelling at all hours of the night and would never intervene. He should have, but I can't get started on that. So, I didn't have anybody. There was nobody scarier than him to step in and fix it, and I had to do all that shit on my own. And I knew that was gonna be the only ways if I did it by myself, because nobody was gonna come and help me. And I guess no one thought enough of me. I have no idea. I don't know. But it just never happened. With all the witnessing that went on, it just never happened. I guess everybody just kind of shrugged and thought, oh, well, she'll come to her senses, blah, blah. And I did, but it took for fucking ever, but I did. And then I got him out of there and all his shit. And I got rid of everything that was his. And he went to war with me about me giving him all the stuff back that he had ever given, made, or bought me. Because money's the first thing that comes out of their mouth when you say you're not interested anymore, because they think that money and or assets is what's keeping you around. And that's not why you're there. You were there because you loved them and that you thought your life was complete with them. Actually, you're complete without them, but women aren't taught that. Women are taught that if they just find the right man, everything else is going to fall into place. And that's not it. So you're putting all your eggs in his basket instead of putting them in your motherfucking own. Number one. But anyway. So once I finally realized I didn't have to have a man, especially not a narcissist, between my legs, tell me what to fucking do all the time, and tell me that I should hate myself and that I'm a bad person and that I need work. We all need work, motherfucker, but I wasn't a bad person. I've never been a bad person. I've never had the fucking ego, and God and Christ fucking knows, I've never had the confidence to be a bad person. I've never had the balls to be a bad person, because why? Why? So, like I say, they tell you stuff like that, and they talk to you like you're worthless. And they have the fucking nerve to be shocked when you come to your senses finally and say, okay, you know what, I don't want to live this way anymore. And so I sat down with myself on that bed, and I just kind of looked out the window for a little bit and just thought about it, just thought about what I was going to say, and it was scary at first. It was scary at first. When he answered the phone, and I knew he was at work, and I said, listen, I can't do this with you anymore. I can't do this anymore. Just can't do this. I'm done. When you get off, just come on by and get through the rest of get your stuff. and either go back to her, who I'd found out that was not divorced from him and was wondering where he was. I don't know, there's rumors that she knew where I lived and therefore knew where he was, but she never did come around and she never contacted me. So I don't know. But there were stories that she knew of me. And I never talked to her because I was brainwashed into hating her, and when really I should have just told him to go to hell. After he left, I thought about her and the shit she must have gone through. And she married him because she thought she needed him, which was the same reason I had him around. So me and her were kind of in the same boat for a lot of reasons. We're both single mothers, and we're just trying to do our best and just trying to hustle and everything else, and that was it, and we really, she and I had a lot more in common, not just with that, not just situation-wise and circumstance-wise, but also like personality and interests and things like that. We had a lot more in common than at the time I was willing to admit to. And now, when I think about her, I just hope that she's doing good wherever she is. She's wily. I mean, like, she'll land on her feet. I know that for sure, because I heard enough about her to know that whatever happens, she's going to be all right. But, he didn't divorce her until, like, the next year after I... So, that took a while. But anyway. Yeah, but once I got on the phone with him, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this with you anymore. And what do you mean? I said, I can't handle you. I was telling the truth. Like, I can't handle you. I can't fuck with you anymore. And he just lost it. And then he went back and forth between sounding like he was in a rage and sounding like he was begging me and sounding like he was trying to soothe me. The soothing stuff that he did when he was trying to regain control is what made me the angriest. When he started the soothing stuff and the calm down shit was when I thought I was going to absolutely explode. Because they push you to where you're screaming. And then they try to, they do that shit where they drop their voice about 8 octaves, and they try to talk to you real calm and like they're trying to be level-headed, and that makes me just want to paint the walls with their brains, because they've pushed you to the point where you feel like you're going fucking crazy, and now all of a sudden they're calm and you're just looking bad. You're looking bad for looking like you're going crazy. Well, why are you losing your mind right now? There's not a problem. You really, I don't know why you're so upset. I just wanted blah, 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 blah. You shouldn't feel like this. I don't know what I've done. Blah, blah. We can work this out. No, we're not going to work out shit because I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you getting between my legs and talking to me like shit in between. I'm sick of it. Period. I'm just done. That's it. But like I say, after it came out of my mouth and I was speaking it into existence, as I'm Woe Vicky says, I don't know if you've seen her, but I'm Woe Vicky. She says, if you speak it into existence, it can happen. And so now every time I think about it, I say, speak it into existence. And it can happen, and it did. But I had to accept that, I had to trust myself. Because when you have them around and you listen to everything they say, you don't trust yourself because you're trusting them. And you abandon yourself, and you abandon your instincts, and you abandon your common sense and everything else because you're listening to what he's telling you. And he's lying. And once you start trusting yourself, you realize you don't need him at all. Narcissist or not, you're not going to, because your brain is enough for you. Your brain is enough for you. It's a complete brain. It's whole. You'll be fine. But it takes a long time. If your confidence is utter shite, it's going to take a long time to come to that realization, sadly. And I was almost 30 years old when I finally, dropped it for the last time. And, dropped the narcissist for the last time. I had a couple of losers since then, but they weren't as bad as him. He was bad news bears. He had a lot of control, and I let it happen. And I let it happen because I had zero self-esteem, and he knew that, which is why he was there. But all the times I was really feeling bad about myself is when men just kind of like came out of the woodwork. And then when things start going good for me, and I start feeling good about myself, is when the arguments start, and or when I just decide I don't want to do it anymore, and then I get rid of them, and then I just go to my life and like do my life, and I feel so much better. So I don't know what kind of science is behind that, but I'm not gonna lie to you. There's nothing. I don't have anything to hide. All I do is talk about my fucking life on here. So the courage it takes to get rid of them, it seems like a lot because of what they've done and because of the control they have and because of what you're afraid you're losing. You're not going to lose shit except heartache. You're not going to lose shit. Everything that they threaten, P.S., when he said, well, in that case, I want all my shit back that I ever fucking gave you, made for you, or bought you. I want every fucking thing back. And I said, well, does that include the lingerie? Because I knew you were wearing that. Because so many of them are closet cross-dressers and they won't fucking just say it. They won't just say it. They won't just say it. I want to know, real and true, proud cross-dressers, I want to know how they feel about this. I want to know how they feel. What do y'all think of men that only wear lingerie in private and don't tell their girlfriends, and don't tell their girlfriends that they're actually into men? What do y'all think of that? What's your opinion on that? I'm just curious. I don't even know what to expect as an answer. I'm just wondering what they think. You know, the ones that aren't ashamed of it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's whatever. He was in the Navy, and the Navy is absolutely crawling with closet. Fill in the blank. Crawling. And Virginia Beach is crawling with Navy. So that's a real, you know, there's a lot of confusion there because nobody wants to admit to anything. So, you know, that Virginia Beach wasn't good to me. I don't have anything good to say about that place except for some of the historical stuff. That's the only shit that was worth it. The rest of it's trash. Because the mindset there is utter shite. But it seems like when you're working up to that moment where you're going to tell them you're finished with them, that's the worst part, is the work up, just like it is with anything else. Once you face them and say, you know, I am not going to do this anymore. I don't want to be abused anymore. I don't want to be neglected anymore. I don't want to be lied to anymore. I want you out. I want you out of my life. There's a lot of different reactions they could have. You know, disbelief. They'll start arguing. They'll start defending themselves. They'll start threatening you. The threats are my favorite. Because and he said this too at one point. One other time when I was trying to break up with him, he said, "Fine, but if I leave, I'm taking all this shit with me." And he was gesturing towards a set of some stupid 1970s furniture, the whole set for $200 that he had bought from some person's garage down the road, who had it on OfferUp. And he was trying to like turn my bedroom into our little home. And all the while his wife wondering where the fuck he was. God love you, girl, wherever you are. I forgot her name and everything, but I can see her face in my mind. I just hope she's doing okay, because, like, I can't imagine what she went through, because she had him around longer than I did. And, but anyway. So, you know, the threats about, I'm going to take this from you, these assets, you know, all these things. I'm taking all this shit from you. I'm taking all of it back. That they think that's what scares you, because, and the thing is, women especially have been taught that physical assets show success or value or whatever, and that if your physical assets or money are taken from you, that puts you back on the bottom of life. And that your life's never going to be the same if a man takes that from you. And that's not how it works. That's not true. You can do whatever you want with your life, and you can be whatever you want to be with your life, and it doesn't matter what a man, quote unquote, takes from you. All he's doing by leaving a vacuum is leaving a space for you to create whatever you want. That's all that is. That's all he did, was do you a fucking favor. That's all he did, was help you get to your next level. That's it. So this shit about the way they threaten, well, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, God damn it, you're going to be living in a cardboard box in the street. Not necessarily. Even if she had no friends whatsoever, no family whatsoever to look after her, there would still be women's shelters and churches and shit like that who would set her up with sponsors or what have you. There's always somewhere for her to go. Period. This is the United States. There's places for people to go for help. I can't promise what's going to happen after that, but she never has to live on the street. There's going to be somewhere she can go. Men they don't trust as much. Shelters and stuff, they don't trust them as much. But women, especially if they've got children, they pretty much take them in. Especially if it means keeping them away from druggies and stuff like that. So she's always going to have somewhere to go. So threatening her with taking this or that, or take the goddamn house. And there's other houses. This isn't the only house in the country. It's not like I'd be living in some straw hut if it weren't for you being so gracious as to let me live with you and be your housekeeper. So but once you see that step has to be taken, no matter, you're going to come to a point where that step has to be taken no matter what. Because your life is either going to continue that way, or it's going to continue how you want it to continue. And that's it. There's no gray area with this. Women are taught to be two things at once, 2 or 3 or 10 things at once all the time. We've got to be what everybody wants at every given moment. We've got to look perfect. We've got to have a flat stomach. You've got to suck it in. The hair's got to be right. Everybody's got to like us. You have to do just the right amount of flirting back with the manager so you don't lose your job. Because I didn't flirt back, and that was a few times. That was back in my model days, my model look days. I wouldn't have that problem now, but I'm not interesting anymore because whatever. I don't know. I'm too old to be interesting, I suppose. Once you get past 30, they dismiss you after that, especially the gray-haired ones. But that's just the way of the world. But once you see that you don't have to be what everybody wants and you can just be what you want, all that shit goes away, and you just say, you know what, it's just time. Because how much longer are you going to tolerate this shit? And you have to trust yourself. Trusting yourself is the biggest part. This is the part I meant to get to earlier. I know I punctuate with a lot of story times. I'm sorry. But trusting yourself is something we're not taught as a half the species. We are not taught to trust ourselves and our own intuition. That's not, part of life or whatever. There are women who go to other women and say, I just don't feel right about such and such. I'm getting a bad feeling, blah, blah. Oh, no, honey, you're just worrying too much. He's fine. He's not going to do that to you. He's not going to hurt you. You need to cool it, and just, he's a good man. He loves you. He loves his kids, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, you're having to pack your bags in the middle of the night because he's threatening to kill you. So, you have to trust your damn intuition. We've been stripped of that power of that choice of choosing to trust our intuition. All that shit was stripped away from us with the monotheistic stuff. Number one, that did so much damage to us. It's unreal. There couldn't be enough books written to explain what that did, because we've been taught that they're number one and that everything's got to be done through them, and that includes trust in their judgment and trust in their everything else. So you've quit trusting yourself because you're thinking that they know better, and they don't. And you have to trust your own instincts. So when it comes time to cut the narcissist out, you can't be afraid of what his reaction is going to be or any of that kind of shit. You can't let fear get in the way any longer, because so far it has, and it's stopped you so far. And there's no reason in the world for this to continue a minute longer. You have got to trust yourself that you can get yourself through it, which you can, because you've gotten yourself through everything else. Everything else you've come through. So why wouldn't you come through this? Why wouldn't you come through a moment of just standing up for yourself? Anything he does, especially anything violent or anything like that, you can just use against him in court. So it's like, if he's going to make an ass of himself, let him, because he's building your case against him. That's it. So let him do his thing. Document it as well as you can. And just take that to the judge if you have to. End of. If you really want to be sneaky, you can hire me or someone like me to do some energetic work to really keep him away from you. You know, like just, you know, block him in every way possible. I'll probably get to that on another video, but what I mean is, you know, yeah, you deserve better, but until you start telling yourself that, it's going to continue, just like anything else. Anything else. And you can't let fear dictate it anymore. You just have to come to a point where you say, you know what, I'm done. And after you say it, and after it becomes a reality, when it comes out of your mouth, it'll feel better, and you'll feel better, and you'll feel like you've finally, you know, regained some power and stood your ground, which you have. And once you witness yourself doing that, and you can especially in that moment witness yourself from like a third person point of view, like another you or another person standing in the corner watching you do this with this person, and watching you cut this person out of your life. And that's a way to feel empowered, because you're watching it play out like a movie. And I think it's good for your brain to do that sometimes. Because you're seeing it for what it really is, you know. And that's good. That's really good. And it's helpful. I think that's all for now. I just wanted to go over that topic because it came to me earlier. It was like, it just came into my mind, so I guess I was channeling some shit or something. But it feels good to say that and put that out there, because people don't talk about the courage it takes to get away from these clowns. So I hope that helps, and thanks for listening.